on so that we can see your smiling faces. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, members of the faculty and professional staff, friends, family, and most importantly, members of the University of New England, Doctor of Physical Therapy, class of 2022. Welcome to the program's Clinical Advancement Ceremony. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jenny Audette, and I'm the Physical Interprofessional Unit. Ceremony also marks the students' transition to the first of 3 full-time patient care experiences in healthcare settings across the country. Today provides for us all the opportunity to recognize a major milestone in the development of your professional identity. And for those of us who are already physical therapists, it provides the opportunity to reflect on our own professional journeys. It's an exciting day for us all. Before we start, I'd like to acknowledge 2 special guests who are here with us today. First, Dr. James Herbert, UNE President. Dr. Herbert, would you like to say a few words?
So thank you very much, Dr. Audette. I appreciate that introduction. So it's first of all, can you hear me? Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, great, thank you. It's my pleasure to join you all and to welcome everyone to our 2020 Clinical Advancement Ceremony. Students, today marks a very important milestone along your journey to becoming doctors of physical therapy. Despite the many challenges that you face this spring and summer, as the virus has disrupted really our best laid plans and forced us all to make adjustments, you all have remained steadfast in your resolve. You've completed the first year of our demanding DPT curriculum. And I know that I speak for our faculty and professional staff, as well as your friends and family members, when I say congratulations to you all. Now you'll continue your learning in the clinical at what is still a very difficult time for our society and its healthcare professionals. Entering the field will certainly be a different experience than it would have been even a year ago at this time. You'll encounter a whole new array of challenges, as well as opportunities to learn and grow. There's a lot of uncertainty in all of our lives right now as we grapple with the virus and as we modify our ordinary ways of life to keep ourselves, our loved ones, and our neighbors safe. And there's much that we can't control. Yet there are some things about which we can be certain. For example, you're in the midst of earning a degree that will position you for a successful life spent doing fulfilling work that improves the lives of the countless patients you'll treat for years to come. And by the way, I count myself as one of those patients. Some of your faculty, including Mike Sheldon, have been my own personal physical therapist. If you keep your focus on that path and you are on the progress that you're making toward it, the day-to-day challenges presented by the pandemic won't seem as overwhelming or as significant. So do good work, as I know you will, and we will look forward to seeing you in the spring when you return to campus with a whole new perspective and all of the practical knowledge that you will have gained. Thank you so much for allowing me to celebrate with you today. And once again, a hearty congratulations to all of you.
Thank you so much, President Herbert. We also have Dr. Mike Sheldon, Associate Provost for Academic Affairs and former Physical Therapy Program Director. Mike, would you like to say a few words?
Thanks, Dr. Audette. And let me add my welcome to on behalf of the Office of the Provost. I'm honored to join you as well for this important milestone in your physical therapist education. As Professor Audette just mentioned, some of you may know I have a special connection to the Department of Physical Therapy at UNE, having joined the faculty in 1990 and served as program director for 20 years before moving into my current position at UNE. So I've participated in the transition of the program from a baccalaureate degree program to a Master of Physical Therapy degree program to now the Doctor of Physical Therapy degree program. And I continue to serve as UNE's institutional representative to the American Council of Academic Physical Therapy, and completing my term as vice president of that organization, representing the voice of physical therapist education across the country. I'll echo all the comments that have made so far in that I know these are challenging and uncertain times, but there is one thing you will not find a more dedicated and talented group of physical therapy faculty than those at UNE. As I mentioned, I serve on this national board and I meet faculty and program directors from across the country. You have an awesome faculty. You can have confidence that you will be more than adequately prepared to enter and provide a superior care in whatever clinical environment you find yourselves. With that confidence, I join you in celebrating this critical transition in your education at UNE. Thank you and best wishes for continued success.
Thank you, Dr. Sheldon. I also have a note from Provost Josh Hamilton, who's unable to be here today, but sends his good wishes. In addition, I'd like to acknowledge the faculty who spend each day living, breathing, and these days Zooming physical therapy education. Please allow me to recognize each one of them. Jim Kavanaugh, Erin Hardigan, Mike Lawrence, Amy Litterini, Marissa Lyon, Adrian McCauley, Tara Parody, and Aaliyah Sullivan. Distinguished faculty and any adjunct, our clinical placement coordinator, and Elena Lipolis, our staff assistant, who keep things in the department running. And finally, I'd like to especially thank the team from the Office of Communications who worked really hard to make this virtual ceremony possible. And now I'd like to turn things over to Aaliyah Sullivan and Tara Parody, our clinical education faculty.
All right, thanks, Dr. Ardette. So today we have invited 3 individuals to share their thoughts on the importance and meaning of this milestone. They represent a continuum of professional development and growth that embodies the very journey on which every DPT student embarks. Our first speaker is Dr. Sally McCormick for Academic Affairs in the Westbrook College of Health Professions. Sally moved into her position in the Dean's office after nearly 13 years as a member of the physical therapy faculty and the Director of Clinical Education. So she knows PT education particularly well here at UNE. Dr. McCormick-Tutt received a BA in physical therapy from the University of New England, a Master's of Public Health with a concentration in leadership and management from Johns Hopkins, Bloomberg School of Public Health, a transitional DPT from UNE, and a Doctorate of Education from the University of St. Augustine. As a clinician, her practice was in the area of orthopedics, ergonomics, and work-related injuries. Sally is an American Physical Therapy Association credentialed clinical instructor and trainer. Her research is focused on clinical education, work-related injuries, and interprofessional education and collaborative practice. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Sally McCormick-Tutt.
Thank you, Professor Sullivan. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of the ceremony and to be able to say a few words. As I was thinking about what the ceremony must mean to all of you, I couldn't help but reflect on the word advancement in the title of your ceremony. In the dictionary, this is defined as the progression to a higher stage of development. Some synonyms are progress, betterment, growth, and a step up. This definition and the synonyms truly explain the next step you all are about to take as you're being able to complete your first clinical practicum this fall. You are taking your knowledge that you acquired in the classroom and lab experiences, and will be growing this knowledge into clinical skills. You get to progress from working with your uninjured classmates as your patients to working with clients with an impairment, and you have the knowledge to help them improve. This is pretty exciting. Imagine some of you might be a bit nervous about going out on your first clinical experience. Up until recently, I had the privilege of working with the DPT students as they embarked on their clinical education. Thus, I wanted to take a little bit of a liberty to provide you with a few pieces of advice as you prepare for this momentous semester and for each clinical after that. First, soak up all the learning you can, from observing a surgery to spending time in the billing office to working with your other members of the healthcare team. Learn about patient care, but also other aspects of healthcare. Ask questions, lots of them, to help you learn and grow. You are still a student, so don't feel like you're supposed to know it all and only work on showing that knowledge to your clinical instructor. While you do need to demonstrate your skills, you also are still learning each time you interact with patients, their families, colleagues, and others. Third, here's a little secret for you. Not all of your patients will get better. Strive to help each patient make improvements, but find a way to grapple with the reality that some just won't get better through physical therapy services, no matter how hard you try to help them. Next, we all make mistakes as we are learning, especially when it is all so new. The key from these mistakes is, what did you learn from it, and how does that shape your next similar interaction? Number 5 is the making of a great healthcare provider recognizes the quality patient care takes science and art. Your clinical skills and critical thinking are the science or knowledge that you must have, but also remember to be kind, compassionate, and show empathy towards everyone you interact with to show the art of healthcare. Number 6, you all have been working together in class, lab, and beyond for a year now, including the virtual platform that we are in. Don't let the distances between each of you on your clinical change that. Lean on your classmates as you go through the days and weeks on clinical, just as you did while you were all on campus and virtual this past year. Finally, do try and find a way to strike that work-life balance. This can be a very stressful time during your education. Just like you hopefully were able to do this past year, find a way to enjoy life after each workday and let off some steam. If you're in a new part of the country, find time to explore and see the beauty in this new area. If you're going to a familiar region, enjoy what you know and love about it and spend time with family and friends. I want to congratulate each of you for arriving at this momentous point in your physical therapy education. You have all worked hard to be here and should feel very proud of yourself for reaching this milestone. As you recite your oath today, be reminded of your professional duty to your patients and the respect, honor, compassion, and care you should show each time you interact with them, their families, and their caregivers. Congratulations to you all.
All right, thank you, Dr. McCormick-Tatt. Next, our student speaker comments will come from Laura Ink. Laura was chosen by her peers in the class of 2022 to speak today and share her reflections on this occasion. She is an excellent student and right now is most interested in practice in outpatient orthopedics and neuromuscular populations. Laura is from Illinois and earned her bachelor's degree at Lindenwood University in exercise science. While she was at Lindenwood, she played for their Division I elite rugby team and was named an academic All-American through USA Rugby for 3 consecutive years. And something interesting you might want to know about Laura, she's a triplet, which I find absolutely fascinating. Please join me in welcoming Laura to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Aaliyah. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us in celebrating Class of 2022's Clinical Advancement Ceremony. This event marks the end of 3 didactic semesters and precedes our first clinical experience as student physical therapists this fall. We are honored to be able to celebrate this milestone with you all. It's been almost a year since we first came to UNE as a class. That first week of orientation consisted of nerves, a few awkward icebreakers, and an overwhelming sense of excitement as we took those first few steps down the road to becoming doctors of physical therapy. That first semester brought its own challenge, with many of us moving far from home, having to settle into a new place, and having to adjust to life as doctoral students. Long days of classes were followed by longer nights of studying, all the while trying to squeeze in some fun here and there. There was very much a learning curve as we began to come into our own as graduate students. But even back then, our growth as a class was evident. I think it's safe to say that none of us could have predicted the unique circumstances that spring semester would bring. It cannot be understated how truly challenging it was to abruptly and unexpectedly make a full transition to online learning, especially during the middle of a global pandemic. They truly were uncertain times. The fear and stress were palpable as we all questioned just exactly how we were going to complete physical therapy school through a webcam. I'm not one to feign positivity. The fake it till you make it attitude seemed somewhat ungenuine in this case, because in order to move forward, we had to acknowledge the reality of our situation. Limited campus resources, trying to comprehend material without hands-on experience, even limited interactions with classmates posed challenges that compounded the normal stresses of PT school. However, despite the challenges, despite the fear, despite the unknowns, this class collectively dug their heels in the dirt, stared down the face of adversity, and quite simply put in the work to be able to reach our goals. Maybe it wasn't always done with a smile on our faces, but it was made possible by our obstinate refusal to give up. And that resilience is an incredibly admirable trait. This class has demonstrated a level of perseverance and grit that will serve us well as we continue not only in our careers, but throughout our lives. We're not always going to have a rule book. There will be obstacles we must overcome, sometimes seemingly without answers. But I think we're getting pretty darn good at handling unprecedented times. I think that we're learning to take the challenges as they come and to write our own game plan so that we may still find success at the end of the day. If this year has been any indication of what this class is capable of, the things we will accomplish in the years to come will be something truly spectacular. So to the faculty who have supported us during this whirlwind of a first year, thank you so much for what you've done to ensure our success. To the friends and family who have joined us virtually today, thank you for not only being here, but for creating that support system that every grad student desperately needs as we work towards graduation day. And lastly, to the class of 2022, I am truly grateful to be part of such a determined group of people. From the beginning, it has been a group effort to get through this crazy year, and the camaraderie of this class is something I do not take for granted. I know it's easy to look back on this year and let the stress and difficulty overshadow the good times. But while we acknowledge the hardships, let us not forget the good times that made PT school bearable. Lunchtime frisbee on the Biddeford campus, late night laughs in the library, poorly playing pickleball with friends at the gym, and the never-ending stream of Zoom University jokes. It has been these subtle, everyday happy moments that have carried me through this first year. Though there were times where I really struggled, I never felt alone in my battles, and I have this entire class to thank for that. So I'm beyond proud of everything we've accomplished thus far, and whatever the future holds for us, I have every confidence that we will face it as we have since we first came to UNE last fall. Together and head on. So best of luck to everyone as we head out to our first clinical experience. Be safe, learn lots, don't forget to take the gate belt off your patient, and I really can't wait to see everyone next spring. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Laura. Our final speaker is a person who gets to know our students very well early on, Dr. Amy Litterini. Dr. Litterini teaches the foundations course that all students take in their first semester in the program. She also coordinates and teaches case report in year 2, complex case management in year 3, as well as the oncology and substance use disorder electives. She is well respected and has been chosen by the students to speak today. Dr. Litterini earned a master's degree in physical therapy from Duquesne University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and then went on to earn a doctorate of physical therapy from Simmons College in Boston, Massachusetts. Her areas of expertise include oncology, hospital, and palliative care. We are very lucky to have her as part of our core faculty. Please help me welcome Dr. Litterini to say a few words.
Thank you, Aaliyah, and hi, everyone. I just want to say great job, Laura. All surprised that your class selected you to speak on their behalf today. Thank you very much to the class of 2022 for giving me the opportunity to be with you and your loved ones and families on such an important day. So as you know, this day shifted slightly in focus away from buttons and collars and sleeves and fabric of a garment, and we've made it about you. So congratulations on your day of clinical advancement. When I started thinking about what advice I wanted to offer you today, I thought about the many things that you've heard from us this year, likely over and over, and we're completely sure that you remember everything we said. But I think it's safe to say that the first year of PT school is a big blur, so we'll give you that. But I this time of the world's struggle for our public health, you remember the origin of our profession, as we discussed in Foundations, the care for individuals with the polio virus. For you to be serving in the healthcare industry during this new pandemic is an honorable moment in time, again, for our profession, and we're proud of you for that. So I wanted to really convey what today was intended to be and what we all hope for you to reflect upon as you head into the clinic. So now that today is completely about you, I wanted to acknowledge your many sacrifices that got you to today, as well as the sacrifices of your loved ones. And you've earned this, so embrace it and own it. We didn't hand it to you, clearly. I think it's pretty obvious the high professional standards that we set and even higher expectations that we have for you pretty much from the moment you walk through our doors. But we did that for a reason, right? It's because we wanted you to get to this day. We wanted you to be prepared for this day so that when you walk into your setting, you have a clinical instructor who's glad you're there. You have patients who are thankful for you. You have clinical colleagues who appreciate your input and perspective. And you have the confidence to show that you deserve to be there. And we all know that you will. When I started thinking about today, I remember what this felt like. And I distinctly remember that I thought my CI was going to think I was stupid. I thought I was going to make every possible mistake in the book. I felt the pressure of knowing that I could actually hurt someone if I made the wrong decision, which is a heavy burden to bear as a new clinician. But we all have to get through that, to get over that, to realize that you do know what you're doing. So ask yourself now, why do you think we use those safety fails in your training, right? So remember to not let any negative talk in your head get to you, because you do deserve to be there and you are ready now. So as you embark on your clinical education experiences, your patients will now be your teachers. So we as your faculty have to admit, if we're honest about it, that your patients will teach you much more than we ever could on campus. There's just no substitution for clinical education. We try our best to teach you in the classroom or in the lab. We simulate experiences. We give you well-crafted assignments to complete, when in fact, it's what you'll learn from each and every one of your patients that actually solidifies that knowledge. So until you really feel someone falling, feel their knees buckling out from under them, see pain on someone's face, see fear in their eyes, shed your own tear for someone's loss, bad news, or poor prognosis, or you feel the joy when someone recovers and is no longer in pain and they thank you for that. There is no substitution. So I still to this day remember my first patient on my first 3-week rotation in my first setting, the Doris Palmer Arthritis Center in Pittsburgh, that was named in honor of the mother of golfer Arnie Palmer. So my patient was there for an acute flare of her severe rheumatoid arthritis and was having some methotrexate and rehab for her pain and lost range of motion. And we hit it off, and I had really never seen the severity of her joint deformities before. So I picked her for my first patient paper. So we spent a lot of time together as I was seeing her twice a day for most of the time that I was there. She was 65-ish, divorced, had an adult son nearby who she adored, and he visited often. And she was funny. She told me some jokes I cannot repeat today, but she was also getting better and she was expected to be discharged soon. So on my last day of my rotation, I was in a great mood that morning. I was pretty proud of myself, if I can say so myself. My CI apparently did not think I was stupid, and I had actually not hurt anyone, so that was good. So on my desk, I have a piece of paper. It was literally entitled an expiration notice, which to this day I think was a pretty harsh form of communication. My patient had died the night before of cardiac arrest. So there were no goodbyes, there were no thank yous, no smiles, no hugs. I didn't get the chance because she was just abruptly gone. And I didn't think of it at the time, but it eventually occurred to me to be glad that she was in the hospital and that it happened there instead of her being home alone. At least she had a chance to survive. But I had to figure out a way to get past the shock and the sadness, and I had to put it in the right place. So I sent a sympathy card to her son, and I was able to tell him what I didn't get the chance to tell her. And I thanked him for the lessons she taught me. And I told him that I would never forget her. And to this day, I've kept that promise. I can still see her face if I close my eyes. She would be delighted that I am telling you all about her on this special day. And she inspired me to make sure that all of you feel prepared and able to handle losing a patient and remember that loss is part of life. So, you know, we're very lucky to be in a profession where we get to have these close interactions and these therapeutic relationships with our patients, but they also can take a piece of our heart with them. So as PTs, we help manage people losing things, right? They lose the ability to walk, to work, to move comfortably, to be independent with daily living, to even get out of bed without assistance. So that's our wheelhouse, right? We palliate symptoms as part of our scope of practice across the lifespan and the full continuum of rehabilitation. You all got us that beautiful scope of practice that we will always remember your class for, but it has a beginning and an end, right? So I have a hospice and palliative care colleague and good friend, Richard Briggs, who's the founder of the concept of rehab in reverse. So as in, all of our patients don't get better on a straight trajectory, right? As Sally mentioned. So he wrote in a book recently on rehab and life-limiting illness, Death is the Ultimate Disability. So think about that for a second. So even though I didn't really know it at the time or really even understand it fully, my very first patient was palliative. But remember, so are all of our patients, right? We as therapists palliate symptoms and impairments, and we help people handle loss. So be there for them in good times, be there for them in difficult times, and be there for the family if they leave us, and you will be at peace with it and accept the honor and privilege that we get to be part of people's lives at a critical, vulnerable moment in their life. So pay close attention to your very first patient as a PT clinician. You will never forget them. Consider the lessons that each of them have to teach you. Remember them, translate them into your next patient case. That's the reflective practitioner we want you to be. Mindful of continuous quality improvement in yourself, because that never ends. I can tell you after 30 years since that first patient, that never ends. So be proud, be happy, be excited. It's okay to be a little nervous. You know, those little butterflies in your stomach you got before your practical exams, they're the same ones you'll get in the clinic, and they're usually a good thing. They're a motivator, right? So see, we were doing you all a huge favor by teaching you to handle all that stress and performance anxiety. So make a difference. Be the difference for your patients. Do not accept the status quo. Be an advocate, especially for your vulnerable patients who may not be able to advocate for themselves. Be a positive change agent. Change is usually good and is necessary more times than not. Don't get too sure of yourself. Listen to the wisdom your CI is trying to impart upon you. Listen intently to what your patients have to tell you and teach you. Talk less, listen more. Support each other. As Laura said, you're having a unique shared experience. Also take care of yourselves. As a caring profession, we're at risk for injuries and burnout, so be deliberate and dedicated with your self-care. Last but not least, remember, it depends. And once you get into the clinic, you will finally believe us on that one. So explain that to your family on Facebook afterwards that I'm not talking about an undergarment. But when you started Foundations, I know you were proud to finally succeed in making it to the official first day of your life as a student physical therapist. So on that day, we asked you to recite the oath of physical therapy, and we, as your faculty, welcomed you into the profession. So on this day, there's nothing more fitting than reciting the oath again, especially with one of our amazing clinical community partners, Laura, who will lead us. But today you will recite the oath with us as clinicians, which is what this ceremony is really about, the advancement into your life as a clinician. So with that, I thank you for your attention, congratulate you as clinicians, and we look forward to reciting the oath with you as clinician colleagues. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Litterini. Okay. Now it is time for the presentation of students for clinical advancement. In this portion, if you listen closely, it's being read by Tara Parody. It's beautiful.
Presentation of students for clinical advancement. Margaret Adeloye. Brendan Adler. Kaylin Alibazek. Matthew Anderson. Jillian Batista. Erica J. Blodgett. Spencer Barasa. Hayden Buckalt. Ian Burgess. Tyler Calamer. Megan Cartier. Megan Chapsky. Anna Bethany Cook. Marissa Daly, Catherine Davis, Nicole Deloria, Annalise DePaulo, Laura Enck, Lucas Gagnon, Erica Guimond, Sarah Howes, Megan Hickey, Emily Hood, Natalie Johnson, Hannah S. Jones, Andrew Joyner, Kayla Kelly, Katie Knox, Kyung Kun Kong, Allison Keechler, Jonathan Lindo, Taylor Lockwood, Michael Medore, Kate McGee, Ashley McCory, Lauren Montgomery, Colleen Mulvihill, Miriam Nahidian, Parker Dean Nally, Val Neeson, Eric Norman, Rachel Norman, Katrina Pham, Casey Poirier, Alexandra Rahili, Sumin So, Riley Austin Shea, Julian Sheehan, Erica Simberger, Cassidy Soroy, Holly Jennifer Soroy, Kaylee Swenemer, Teresa Thierer, Suma Varanasi, Lila Williams, Chad Wynn, Jillian Witwicky, Rachel Wright.
All right. Thank you, Tara. The clinical advancement ceremony marks the beginning of a lifelong professional and educational journey. As you embark on your clinical experiences, it is important to take time to identify the privileges and responsibilities healthcare providers have. These responsibilities include leadership in the community, a commitment to lifelong learning, and the sacred obligation to always put the patient's needs first. Students, saying the oath today is a statement that you understand and a commitment to put into daily practice your respect for patient autonomy, social justice, veracity, beneficence, tolerance, professionalism, and ethical practice. So now let us begin. At this time, would all members of the DPT class of 2022, the DPT faculty, and any physical therapists in the audience, please prepare to recite our professional oath, which can be found inside the program. Students, you took this oath during your first weeks in the program almost an entire year ago. Back then, you hopefully recognized the importance of the oath, but perhaps did not know enough to begin to truly embody its principles. Today, as we mark your moving from the classroom to the clinic, I hope you more deeply appreciate its meaning, its call to duty, and its inherent responsibilities and obligations. Today, the oath is being read by one of our most valued clinical partners, Laura Roach. Laura is a graduate of our DPT program and represents the best of our alumni. Laura is a senior physical therapist at Select Physical Therapy in Auburn, Maine, with her practice area in outpatient orthopedics. She also serves as the site coordinator of clinical education for all of the Select and Saco Bay physical therapy locations in Maine. And she's gone above and beyond working with us, helping to place our students for their clinical education experiences. Please help me welcome Laura to read the oath.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. Hear me at all? Okay. thank you guys. It's going to be a little weird reading and not hearing anything, but we're going to go with it. So here goes. As a physical therapist dedicated to providing the highest quality care and services, I solemnly pledge I will respect the rights and dignity of all individuals who seek my services or with whom I work, act in a compassionate and trustworthy manner in all aspects of my services, exercise judgment while abiding by legal and ethical requirements, demonstrate integrity during interactions with colleagues, other healthcare providers, students, faculty, researchers, the public, and payers for the enhancement of patient care and the advancement of the profession, enhance my practice through the lifelong acquisition and application of knowledge, skills, and professional behavior, participate in efforts to meet the physical therapy and healthcare needs of local, national, and global communities. Thus, with this oath, I accept the duties and responsibilities that embody the physical therapy profession.
Thank you, Laura. Please join me in congratulating the UNE Doctor of Physical Therapy class of 2022. May you enjoy your upcoming well-deserved break and a happy, healthy, and productive first clinical experience. This concludes our ceremony.